Okay, so the directions on our opener says to solve each equation. You do not need to check your answers. Don't worry about that. We're going to do checking solutions downstairs. I'm not going to have you guys do it upstairs for a grade. I'm going to have you guys do that more as extra credit just because our dates got mixed up or our lessons got pushed back a little bit. I can't talk. Because our lessons got mixed around a little bit, we're going to take and omit that lesson from what we're going to teach, okay? So if you guys do choose to do it down the road, you'll get extra credit points for it. Okay, so the first two equations that I have here, the first one is going to be a what type of equation? So looking at it, this is called solving equations with what? Square root. So solving equations with square root, what I need to see or what I should see on your desk, then is your notes open up to solving equations with square roots. So everybody should have their yellow notes in front of them, solving equations with square roots. I would say about 80% of you guys have that completed. Danielle, when I'm solving equations with square roots, after I circle my variable and after I draw my line of equality, what do I need to do? Yeah. Box what? Can somebody help her out? You're going right along the right lines. Kaylon?
Don't you box what's in the square root?
Yeah, so what's in my square root here?
Oh, you want me to keep going?
Just tell me what's inside the square root. Yeah.
It's the 5a plus the 1.
Okay. So I boxed my square root. The whole purpose behind boxing the square root is because I want to get whatever's not inside of that box out of here, out of this side of the line of equality. So basically meaning I want to get this square root or this box by itself. So if I want to get this box by itself, I need to get rid of the 3 and I also need to get rid of the 1. In order to get rid of those two numbers, I'm going to use PEMDAS backwards, which is SAD math. So if I want to get this square root by itself, which am I going to get rid of first? The 3 or the 1? The 1. So how do I do that? So whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So the first step in my notes says to get the square root by itself. So on my left side, I bring down everything that I have not gotten rid of yet. So the 3, the square root, the 5a, plus 1. Then on my right side, I just simplify. I have 13 minus 1, which equals 12. Excuse me. Okay, now, what I had boxed in my first step here, the square root. Is the square root now by itself? No, I still have to get rid of what? No. You do have to get rid of that 3. That positive 1, Damon, is under the square root sign. So how do I get rid of this 3 on the outside of the square root? Divide. Because the 3 touching the square root sign means to multiply. The inverse operation for multiply is divide. So we're going to divide each side by 3. On my left side, I bring down everything I have not canceled out yet, which is my square root over the 5a plus 1. And on my right side, I'm going to take 12 divided by 3. Now, it's my square root by itself. Yeah. So now that my square root's by itself, I'm done with step 1. So what's step 2 say to do?
Oh, now you got to do what's in the square root.
No, not take the square root. How do we get rid of a square root? What's the inverse operation for square root? So look at your notes. Okay, so step 2 says what?
Step 2 says take the square root.
No. It's not going to be square root. Kelly? Yeah. Take the square on both sides of the line of equality.
That's what I was thinking.
You said square root. That's a very different. Then make sure you're looking at the right notes. Solving equations with square roots. Okay? So now on my left side, I'm going to bring down the 5a plus 1. And on my right side, what's 4 squared going to be? 16. Now this is going to be a two-step equation. As Damon said, to get the variable by itself now, I'm going to get rid of the plus 1, which will be at minus 1. Bring down my 5a. 16 minus 1. 15. How do I get the a by itself from here?
Division. Then after that, it's going to be a equal 3. Then you going to box your ends.
I cannot reiterate or tell you guys enough. Use your notes. If you don't know what you're doing, use your notes. If you go through life not understanding or knowing where to go and get your answers from, you're not going to be as successful as what you could be. Use your notes. The whole purpose that I give you these yellow note sheets and I gave you these binders is so that when you get stuck and you don't know what to do, you can look at that note sheet. It tells you step by step what to do. So use your notes. Now looking at this one, what kind of equation is this?
Easy.
What kind of equation is it? Not
Square.
square. So the note sheet that you would use, solving equations with squares. Okay? So we're going to use solving equations with squares. So that's the note sheet you should be looking at now. So as always, circle my variable. Draw my line of equality. Now, according to solving equations with squares, what's the first step I need to do, Kaylon?
You need to do plus 1.
No,
both
that's
sides.
not what my notes say to do.
Oh no, you gotta take the square root from both sides.
That's not what step 1 tells me to do.
Wow, bro.
Look at your note sheet. What does step 1 on solving equations with squares say to do? Jalen? Box what? What's that 2 called?
The 2b. I don't know.
You're right along the right lines, Alex.
2b squared.
Now, you're close,
2b squared.
but is that 2 being squared or is it just the b being squared?
Me being a square.
It's just the b
Yeah,
being
that's what I'm
squared.
on paper, that's what I'm trying to say.
So I'm going to put a box around what's being squared. Now, if it was written like this, then I'd put a box around the 2 as well. But it's not. Just the square is on the b. That's kind of a tricky one. We did not have one like that in our notes yesterday. So that's the first part of step 1. What's the second part of step 1? No? Well, yeah, but read the rest of step 1 for me. Jalen, read the rest of step 1 for me.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I already
You know what? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to stop. Okay, so after I put a box around the square, what's the rest of the step 1 say to do, Jalen? Yeah. Keep going.
Oh, I forgot to finish the rest of it, but I know I use the golden rule.
To get the square by itself. So I'm going to use the golden rule to get this square by itself, which basically means I need to get rid of anything that's not inside this box. So if I'm using the golden rule to get the square by itself, which number do I get rid of first?
The negative 1.
That negative 1. What's the inverse operation for minus 1?
Plus 1.
So the golden rule, whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So on my left side, what do I bring down, Jalen?
I would say left side, 2b squared.
Okay, and then on my right side? Now, this is where I go back and look at my first line. I need to get the b squared by itself because that's what's in the box. So is the b squared here by itself?
No.
No, I have to get rid of what next? How do I get rid of that 2? Yeah. So the 2 touching the variable means to multiply. The opposite is divide. Okay, on my left side, what do I bring down?
Bring the b squared.
And then on my right side? Now, is my square by itself?
No.
How is it not by itself?
Is what I had up here boxed now by itself? Yeah. So that means step 1 is done. So if step 1 is done, move on to step 2. What's step 2 say to do?
Put square. Yeah, you square both sides. So you gotta.
But if I square it, that's not going to get rid of that square. So what does your note say?
Oh my.
Say it again, Alex. We're going to take the square root, not the square, the square root on both sides. So square and square root cancel. meaning I now have the b by itself. And then on my right side, I find the square root of 25. 5.
So that's what I'm
And then that's my answer. Yep, that's your answer right there.
That's what I'm definitely not putting the square root on.
It's so important that you guys understand the difference between square and square root. They are not the same things. We'll have to get you the notes. They're in your makeup folder back there. Back behind Daisha. All right, moving along. Let's take a look at the backside. The backside, we again have 2 equations. Just like what's going to be on your quiz on Thursday, okay? The first equation, we're solving equations with what? Square roots. So you're going to look at your notes, solving equations with square roots. Say again? So I'm going to box my square root. I'm going to make sure I remember to circle that variable and draw my line of equality. Okay, now, step 1, after you box the square root, we want to use the golden rule. Hey, Jaden, can you step out into the hallway, please? Step out. After I get the square root boxed, what do I need to do, Alex? The golden rule to get the square root by itself. So what do I get rid of first? Yeah. How do I do that? Good. Ooh, I'm going to run out of room on this side. Okay, what's 1 plus 2? Oh, this is so awful. There we go. What do I bring down on the right side, Alex? And what goes above that? What's that sign called? Yeah, put the square root above it. Okay? Is my square root by itself now? What I had boxed up here, is it by itself down here? No. What do I have to get rid of next?
That 3 outside.
How do I get rid of it? That's right. Nope. Keep it as a positive. We're dividing it by 3. Okay? So on my left side, what's 3 divided by 3? 1. Thank you, Michael. 12.
I said 12.
How did you get 12?
Oh, sure.
I don't even know how you got 12, though. Because if I take 3 times 3, I get 9.
I was doing multiplication.
Okay. But 3 times 3 is 9. I don't know. Okay. That's okay. Moving on. So what do I bring down on my right side? Okay, and what goes up? Now what? Is the square root by itself?
Yes.
Is what you had boxed up here now by itself? Yeah. So move to step 2. What's step 2 say to do?
Simple math.
No.
No, it saying take the square root of both sides.
No.
It's saying number 2. That's what it is.
No.
Both sides.
Why am I going to square both sides? Because we're following which notes?
The solving equations with square root.
Yeah, make sure you're looking at solving equations with square roots. So if I would square root this side, it wouldn't get rid of my square root. The only thing that's going to get rid of a square root is a square. So we take a square of both sides. Left side, what's 1 squared?
1.
If you said 2, I was going to have to like boot you out the window. All right, right side, what do I bring down?
You gotta bring down that 3c plus 4.
And now I have a 2-step equation.
Yeah, now it's easy. I call it easy step.
Easy step? All right, what's the next easy step?
It's gonna be negative 4. And after that, once you put negative 4, you're gonna bring down that 3c. You put the division on.
Hold on. What's 1 minus 4? Nobody told me that answer.
Oh, negative 3.
Okay, and then on my right side I bring down what?
You bring in the 3c. Then put a division on over 3. And it's gonna be.
You don't want to say the wrong answer because you know I'm going to yell at you if you do. Negative 3 divided by 3. I think I heard it. Michael? Don't say it. Kelly? Yes. And Damon, you said it too. Negative 1.
That's what I've been saying. You got me thinking wrong.
Well, 3 times 3 is not 12, so I was a little worried about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now look at this equation. What kind of equation is this?
I mean,
Give
1,
it.
2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It will be a 5-step equation though.
like I said.
Like I said. So it's solving equations with
Square root.
Square.
squares.
Yeah, look at
A
this.
square
Square
root is like that
root.
check mark
I
looking
know,
thing.
I was just
Okay, so look at your notes, solving equations with squares. So that's the last note sheet that we took.
good.
Box the 2D minus 4.
Good. So the whole reason why I'm boxing the 2D minus 4 is because that square is squaring everything in the parentheses. Then I need to go ahead. Please remember to circle your variable.
Also,
And take away the 1. Plus 1.
Good. So what Alex is all doing right here is he's doing all of step 1. He boxed the square. Now he's getting the square by itself by using the golden rule. So he got rid of that plus 1.
Then it's
200, baby.
divided by 2.
Hold on. Do one step at a time.
So that's going to be 200.
Okay.
That's going to be 1.
So that's going to be
It's
200.
going to be positive 1.
Okay, so what do I bring down on this side then?
2D.
2 times.
2D minus 4 squared.
There you go.
Squared.
So don't try to do these two steps at the same time. You can't do that. You got to rewrite and go again. I know it's a lot of rewriting, but you have to do each step separate. Now, my square is not by itself. What do I need to get rid of? Divide by 2. Because that's the golden rule. Okay? So on my left side, what am I going to bring down? My left side.
2D minus 4.
2D minus 4 on my left side. Keep going, Jalen. Parentheses, and what goes on the outside of the parentheses?
That's square.
Okay? Then on my right side of my line of equality, what's 200 divided by 2? Or,
100.
okay. Now, is what I had boxed up here my square? Is what I had boxed up here my square by itself?
Yes.
Okay. So that means step 1's done. What's step 2 say to do?
Take the square root of both sides of the equation.
All right. So I'm going to take the square root. Square root. Those two cancel. What do I bring down on my left side?
Oh. 2D.
2D negative 4, man. Simple.
Do I need the parentheses anymore?
Oh, you already finished that.
That's
man.
right. What's the square root of 100?
Like this is.
I don't got it, man.
What number can I multiply by itself to get 100? So what's the square root of 100?
50.
10. Good,
All
David.
right, come on, bro.
50 times 50. I don't know, 250? Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah, you say you got it.
No, I use the tools to help me.
Oh, God.
No. I use the tools to help me. So if I didn't know that, I would grab a calculator
I was
and I would
trying to say.
multiply.
But you ain't no calculator no more.
All right. Now, 2D minus 4 equals 10. Two-step equation. How do I get the variable by itself?
Plus 4.
Plus 4.
Minus
14.
Chill.
And Alex, you said 10 plus 4 is 14. What do I bring down on my left side?
See the number, right? It's-
Yeah,
2D. Then put that division right there.
2B.
I'm gonna say I'm dead. Who says that?
14 divided by 2. 14 divided by 2. Box it.